In this video, we're going to talk about how do you find time to study for the GMAT when you're working a full-time job. It's probably one of the most common questions I've received from students over the years. You know, we have tons of people who are in the field of management consulting, tech consulting, fintech, banking, finance, investment banking. I mean, it all resonates with you guys, right? You guys are in busy jobs, right? You spend a lot of your days working, a lot of your weeks working. How do you find the time? Well, the first thing is commit to the process, first of all. Because what I found is that when students are half in, half out of the GMAT prep process, maybe I'll study, maybe I won't, maybe I'll go to business school, maybe I won't. It's really hard to get yourself to do the things you need to do to effectively study for the GMAT while working, right? So step one is you really got to commit to the process. You got to find your why, right? What's your value proposition for doing the GMAT? Because no one's doing the GMAT to, have fun taking the GMAT. You're doing it to get into business school, and there's a why behind that, right? There's a reason. You got to figure out what that is. What's your value proposition for yourself? What's your why, right, for why you're doing it, okay? Once you've committed, then it's time to concoct a plan and find the time to study. Now, we'll talk a lot more about this soon enough, but one of the next things you need to do is chart a realistic course, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, the most common problem you're going to see in studying for the GMAT is, for example, somebody has a 550 and they're like, what do I have to do to get a 700 by next month, right? And the reality is, I could probably count on my hand the number of people I've seen go from a 550 to a 700 in a month, or even 2 months, or even 3 months, so to speak, right? Okay, so you got to start with a realistic plan, and that's a topic for another video, but the short of it for this video is as follows. You're probably going to get 2 hours a day of studying on the weekdays, maybe 3 to 4 on the weekends, okay? If you're like most people who are studying for the GMAT. So you're going to need 3, 4, 5, 6 months in some cases to have a large improvement in your GMAT score, right? So your trajectory is going to be realistic, because if you're saying to yourself, ooh, I'll study 50 hours a week for a month and knock this out of the park. I'll go from a 500 to a 750 in a month. It doesn't happen, right? So the first thing is we got to start with a realistic time frame for how long the GMAT prep is going to take. And we can address that later. But 2 hours a day on the weekdays is good, and maybe 3 to 4 hours on the weekends. Now, here's what I would do. Here's a great suggestion. Of course, everybody's different, so you're going to have to find what works for you. But these are some pretty smart tips. Monday through Friday, so Sunday through Friday, go to bed early. Okay, go to bed by whatever time you can get yourself to bed. 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. Get up early. Get up at 5 or 6, depending on when your workday starts, and study for 2 hours before work. Right? Now, a lot of my students, a lot of TTPers, they like to exercise in the morning. You got to kind of flip that script. You got to kind of move the exercise to the night. And here's why. When you get up in the morning, have a light breakfast, have some coffee, tea, whatever you normally have, you're going to have a lot of fresh energy, motivation, discipline, brain power to study, right? And there's something wonderful about getting something done for you first thing in the morning, right? Imagine if you studied when you're fresh, right? From like 5 a.m. to 7, or from like 6 a.m. to 8. These are prime hours. You haven't gone to work all day, exercised, ran 4 miles, spent an hour at Whole Foods, right? All this stuff tires you out and it diminishes your ability to learn. But if you study first thing in the morning, 6 to 8, 5 to 7, you're studying with fresh machinery, so to speak, in your body and your brain. It is a machine, okay? The other thing to think about is, you know what? I'm all about being a star at work, doing the best you can, being an exemplary employee. But you know what's really sad? How many people get up every day, go to work, do their absolute best for their job, but never make an investment in themselves? Or they wait till the end of the day to make an investment in themselves when they're tired, their motivation is low, their willpower is low, they just want to eat and Netflix in bed, right? Don't do that, right? Get up each day and put the investment into the GMAT before you leave for work. Put you first, pay yourself first before you expend all your energy on somebody else's dream. Invest in your dream first, right? Then get up, go to work. What are you doing in your commute? Are you flying if you're a management consultant? Are you on the subway in Manhattan? Are you in a ride share? If so, use that time to study, right? If you got a half hour, 5 days a week, that time adds up. Drill some flashcards, open TTP on your iPad, right? Review your notes. Use your time for commute as productive time for GMAT study, right? Do your work. Lunchtime comes around. Skip lunch with colleagues. No cocktails, no beers, no group lunches. Bring yourself some healthy food. Order some DoorDash. Get yourself a healthy green juice, protein shake, whatever you need, and go to a quiet place and study for your half hour or your hour. Think about it. If you study 2 hours in the morning and an hour during lunch, by the time 1 or 2 o'clock rolls around, you already studied 3 hours. Now you can have a really productive afternoon knowing that no matter what else happens, you can fully devote yourself to your job because you've already got 3 hours of GMAT prep in, right? It's a great feeling. Then, and I want you to study a little bit in the night, but even if the night rolls around and you're too tired, you had a stressful day, you have something you need to do, you've already got 3 hours in. Okay, ideally after work, if you can exercise, you like to exercise, get some exercise, right? And then do a little light review before bed. An hour, a half hour, whatever you can do. And that's, that's a lot of time, right? That's even more than I told you to do, right? That's pretty good. Okay, now before bed, don't start anything new, right? Your brain is going to be tired. You want to just sort of cement concrete things that you've already learned during the day. Now, can you do that 5 days a week? I don't know. Could I do that 5 days a week? I don't know. I would try. If I could get 4 in, you're ahead of the curve. If you're doing it 3, you're probably right in the borderline. If you're only making that happen twice a week, you're probably behind the curve. On the weekends, hit it hard. Get up early. Do whatever you need to do. Now, is it great to study 6, 8 hours, 7 hours at a time? No, you're going to start to get diminishing returns, but diminishing returns doesn't mean no returns. So you could study from 8 to 2 on Saturday and on Sunday. And at the end of the week, you've got a ton of stuff logged, a ton of hours logged for the GMAT. Now, other tips, right, I can give you. We're always waiting for something, a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, whatever. Pull out your notes, pull out TTP on your phone, pull out target test prep on your iPad. Mentally review some stuff in your head while you're waiting in the doctor's office, right? Or you're waiting in line. You know what? Humans are social creatures. So I never tell people to sort of turn your back on your social schedule or the people you care about. What you do need to do is tell them in advance, hey guys, for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I'm prepping for the GMAT, right? I'm going to have to cut things down to the most sort of important tasks that we're going to do together, right? Hey, maybe I can't go on the ski trip, but I'll absolutely meet you, twice a week for coffee or beer or whatever you do, right? But because social aspects of our lives are so important as humans, I would absolutely encourage you to form a study group. Maybe you have some friends studying for the GMAT. Maybe you have some colleagues, right? That's a great way to multitask, right? Get together at Starbucks, get together at somebody's house, right? Pull your social circle together with your studying. Talk to your boss, right? This is another tip. If you've been a great employee at work, maybe it's explain to your boss you're studying for the GMAT. Perhaps he or she could give you a little bit of flexibility for a couple weeks or a month, right? Or a couple months. That could really help. Take a vacation, right? Here's another tip, which is great, right? A lot of my students will take a vacation at the beginning of their GMAT prep, a week or 2 weeks, right? And just study really, really, really hard, and then have a week or 2 week vacation near their test date. Now, I mean, would it be nicer to be in the Italian Riviera drinking an Aperol Spritz with, a woman named Enza or a man named, whatever his name is? Yeah, of course it would, right? But you know what? That can wait. Save that for another time, right? Now's the time. Take that vacation time. Use it to prep for the GMAT, right? You can get a lot done at the beginning and at the end. Some people leverage time between jobs, right? Like maybe you're ending job A and you're moving on to job B, and maybe you can negotiate a couple weeks, right? Maybe you don't have to leave job A on a Monday and show up at job B on a Tuesday morning, right? 14 hours later. Maybe you can negotiate a month in between. Use it to prep for the GMAT. Or maybe you have slow periods at work, right? And you can kind of plan. Maybe Q4 is always slow, so you plan to, have a big study period in Q4 or something. It's all common sense, but sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to see these ideas. But there's a lot you can do. Some of you, this final tip won't apply to. My apologies, the ship might have sailed. But one of the greatest tips I can give you is study for the GMAT after you leave college, but before you start working, right? So if you graduate in June, right, your senior year, take 5 or 6 months, bang the GMAT out, get it done, right? And then you don't have to worry about working and exercise and friends and it's on hold and you're studying for the GMAT and you're tired. Get it done before you start your first job. And GMAT scores are good for 5 years, so you just kind of have to plan accordingly. But if you look, and there's millions of other ways I'm sure I haven't mentioned, right? But if you look carefully, there's a way to get it done, get the GMAT done, even if you're working full time.